The Gospel of Luke, chapter 19. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through, and there was a man called Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector, a superintendent to whom others reported, and he was rich. Zacchaeus was trying to see who Jesus was, but he could not see because of the crowd, for he was short in stature. So he ran on ahead of the crowd and climbed up a sycamore tree in order to see him, for he was about to pass through that way. When Jesus reached the place, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for today I must stay at your house." So Zacchaeus hurried and came down and welcomed Jesus with joy. When people saw it, they all began muttering in discontent, "He has gone to be the guest of a man who is a notorious sinner." Zacchaeus stopped and said to the Lord, "See, Lord, I am now giving half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anyone out of anything, I will give back 4 times as much." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this household, because he too is a spiritual son of Abraham, for the Son of Man has come to seek to save that which was lost." While they were listening to these things, Jesus went on to tell a parable because he was near Jerusalem, and they assumed that the kingdom of God was going to appear immediately as soon as he reached the city. So he said, "A nobleman went to a distant country to obtain for himself a kingdom, and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas, 1 apiece, each equal to about 100 days' wages. And he said to them, 'Do business with this until I return.' But his citizens, the residents of his new kingdom, hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, 'We do not want this man to be a king over us.' When he returned, after receiving the kingdom, he ordered that these servants to whom he had given money be called to him, that he might find out what business they had done. The first one came before him and said, 'Lord, your mina has made 10 more minas.' And he said to him, 'Well done, good servant. Because you proved yourself faithful and trustworthy in very little, you shall now have authority over 10 cities in my kingdom.' The second one came and said, 'Lord, your mina has made 5 minas.' And he said to him also, 'And you shall take charge over 5 cities.' Then another came and said, 'Lord, here is your mina, which I have kept laid up in a handkerchief for safekeeping. I was always afraid of you because you are a stern man. You pick up what you do not lay down, and you reap what you do not sow.' He said to the servant, 'I will judge and condemn you by your own words, you worthless servant. Did you really know that I was a stern man, picking up what I did not lay down and reaping what I did not sow? Then why did you not at the very least put my money in a bank? Then on my return I would have collected it with interest.' Then he said to the bystanders, 'Take the mina away from him and give it to the one who has 10 minas. And they said to him, 'Lord, he has 10 minas already.' Jesus explained, 'I will tell you that to everyone who has, because he valued his gifts from God and has used them wisely, more will be given. But from the one who does not have, because he disregarded his gifts from God, even what he has will be taken away.' The king ended by saying, 'But as for these enemies of mine who did not want me to be king over them, bring them here and kill them in my presence.' After saying these things, Jesus went on ahead of them, going up to Jerusalem. But when he approached Bethphage and Bethany at the mount called Olivet, he sent 2 of his disciples, saying, 'Go into the village ahead of you. There as you enter you will find a donkey's colt tied, on which no one has ever sat. Untie it and bring it here. If anybody asks you, why are you untying the colt, you will say, the Lord needs it.' So those who were sent left and found the colt just as he had told them. And as they were untying the colt, its owners asked them, 'Why are you untying the colt?' They said, 'The Lord needs it.' They brought it to Jesus, and they threw their robes over the colt and put Jesus on it. As he rode along, people were spreading their coats on the road as an act of homage before a king. As soon as he was approaching Jerusalem, near the descent of the Mount of Olives, the entire multitude of the disciples, all those who were or claimed to be his followers, began praising God, adoring him enthusiastically and joyfully with loud voices for all the miracles and works of power that they had seen, shouting, "Blessed, celebrated, praised is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. peace in heaven and glory, majesty, splendor in the highest heaven." Some of the Pharisees from the crowd said to him, "Teacher, rebuke your disciples for shouting these messianic praises." Jesus replied, "I tell you, if these people keep silent, the stones will cry out in praise." As he approached Jerusalem, he saw the city and wept over it and the spiritual ignorance of its people, saying, "If only you had known on this day of salvation, even you, the things which make for peace and on which peace depends. But now they have been hidden from your eyes, for a time of siege is coming when your enemies will put up a barricade with pointed stakes against you and surround you with armies and hem you in on every side. And they will level you to the ground, you, Jerusalem, and your children within you. They will not leave you one stone on another, all because you did not come progressively to recognize from observation and personal experience the time of your visitation when God was so gracious towards you and offered you salvation." Jesus went into the temple enclosure and began driving out those who were selling, saying to them, "It is written, 'My house shall be a house of prayer,' but you have made it a robber's den." He was teaching day after day in the temple porches and courts, but the chief priests and the scribes and the leading men among the people were seeking a way to put him to death, and they could not find anything that they could do, for the people stayed close to him and were hanging on to every word he said.